and this is Communities Live on Sheffield Live Radio 93.2 FM with me, Susie Casson, T-Boys in the Kitchen, and we're joined in the studio by Kiran and Nick from CADS. Welcome both, thanks for coming in.
Hi, thanks for having us.
So, first of all, can I ask what is CADS and what your role is in CADS?
So CADS is a charity providing sort of studio space, event space and space for hire across 14 different sites around Sheffield. I'm the studios and space manager, and Nick.
I'm the sort of project manager and working specifically on a lot of the Abbeydale Picture House work. And CADS also stands for Creative Arts Development Space. Makes a bit more sense.
Yeah, and lots of wonderful buildings in Sheffield, aren't they, ready for development? So can you tell us a little bit about the history of Abbeydale Picture House?
Yeah, sure. So it was originally built in 1920 when it was one of the most luxurious cinemas in Sheffield, or the most luxurious cinema in Sheffield. And apparently at its height it could house 1,500 people in one cinema viewing. And it operated as a cinema up until 1975 when it changed into cinema closed, and it immediately became an office furniture showroom. You can still see the office furniture sign if you come from outside of Sheffield down Abbeydale Road, you can still see the sign for that. And that operated for quite a few years. And then in 2003, when the building was pretty much derelict, a group started called Friends of Abbeydale Picture House, who had a lot of kind of celebrity patrons, and there was a lot of noise made about it at the time. And the idea was, I think they bought it and then were looking to renovate it. They started the work. Unfortunately, they were dissolved a couple of years down the line, and it's been changed hands ever since. I think at one point it was due to be the site of the new mosque, and then they decided it cost too much. And then slightly further down the line, Phil Robbins, who runs Abbeydale Climbing Centre, who's the current owner, bought the building, and he, along with this small arts organisation called Hand Of, did more renovations, sort of bringing it up. And they were the first people in recent years to kind of open it up, do some cinema screenings, do some markets, and make the building more available. So they brought it up to a certain level of renovation, but there's still a lot of work to do. And this is where we came in, and Phil has leased the building to us after Hand Of have left.
So it's on Abbeydale Road. Can you tell us a bit about the area it's in?
Yeah, well, it's in quite an up-and-coming area, actually. So it's near where the Broadfield is, which is obviously a really popular kind of new pub, and there's loads of exciting sort of stuff happening around Abbeydale Road at the moment. There's the Picture House Social, which is in the basement of the Picture House itself, and then there's quite a lot of there's like craft shops, like a shop called Frank My Dear, which is really popular. There's a Never Edge herbarium opening across the road, and there's loads of cool little restaurants and bars and stuff, and so it's quite a sort of buzzing little area at the moment. And with it being right in the middle of the antiques quarter as well, that all just seems to be gaining popularity all the time, the antiques markets, all that sort of stuff. And so it's always been a fairly popular area, obviously, but I think at the moment there's a lot more happening there, a lot more people coming from outside the area to come and see what it's got to offer, really. So we hope to add to that.
And it's fantastic news. It's going to be reopening. I think a lot of people are really happy to hear that.
Yeah.
So what kind of state is the building in at the moment?
It's not in the worst state that we've seen a building, but there are lots of issues with it. I mean, a lot of it is cosmetic, lots of bits of crumbling plaster and things like that. But because obviously of the heritage of the building, we want to try and restore it as much as we can to kind of its former glory. And so there's a lot of quite intricate plaster work and that sort of thing that we're going to have to get done at some point. But for now, it's very much concentrating on the basics, getting toilets sorted. There's already a cafe space in there, so getting that filled and serving food and drink. And then, it's moving on from there. It's trying to get the capacity up through increasing fire exits, all that sort of thing. And then eventually onto a full restoration of the sort of period features as well. For now, it's mainly just been stopping the roof leaking.
Great. And will you be doing some of the work yourselves, or do you contract it out?
We do bits and bobs of the work ourselves, don't we? Nick will be doing a lot of the sort of project management down there, but a lot of it will have to be contracted out, and especially the heritage stuff is quite sort of specialised work, so it'll probably be a case of having to find sort of, especially the plasterers. I'm assuming people that are sort of quite expert in that field, because a lot of it's very intricate sort of Art Deco stuff.
There's quite a high reliance on the climbing community as well through Phil's involvement, because the building's so tall that there's certain areas that only people that are used to climbing will be willing to get into, because the fly tower behind the screen is, I think, 30 metres high, which is huge. So there'll be some need for some specialised people, but in terms of some of the smaller stuff, we'll be getting involved.
And have you any idea when the restoration work will be completed?
It's difficult, really. We're hoping to get the first stages of restoration work done quite fast in order to just get the building back open, get people in. But in terms of a full restoration, it'll probably be a number of years until it's completely back to how we want it. But that doesn't mean to say that in the meantime it won't still be open and won't still be operating as a venue. It's just it's such a big building that to get all these little bits done and all around the balconies and stuff, it's probably going to take quite a big funding drive, sort of heritage funds and things like that. And none of it is stuff that happens very quickly, so we'll probably be looking at a couple of years at least for that kind of stuff. But in terms of getting it sort of up and running, getting people in there and getting cool stuff happening, we're hoping in the next couple of months, really.
And I suppose the cafe might open before the rest of it.
Yes.
The intention is to get the cafe open as soon as possible, partially because we think it would be interesting for people to actually see the work ongoing on site. So and we're hoping to get that open within a month. On a sort of small scale, and then looking at something more established. But the cafe hopefully should be open very soon.
Fantastic, yeah. So what kind of events are planned when the building's been restored?
All sorts, really. I mean, at the moment, it's all seated, and so we're looking at mainly seated things. Obviously film screenings, kind of goes without saying, but also theatre stuff, live comedy. We've had a few things about music events or sit-down music events, maybe with orchestral sections and things like that. But we're very much we've always been like at CADS, we're very much open to suggestion, really. We don't have a really sort of set idea for things that we want to put in there. We've sort of opened it up to the community and to people around Sheffield to come to us, because if people are always coming to us with stuff that we hadn't even thought of or would never expect, so we're not sort of presumptuous enough to just say it's only going to be these kinds of events. We'll kind of wait and see what people want to do now, and we've already had some really interesting projects put forward to us, so it's quite exciting, really.
Excellent, and a lot of filmmakers based in Sheffield would be a great venue for their work.
So exactly.
We've already had some inquiries from filmmakers here to do some sort of preview screenings, which will be really exciting.
Yeah, fantastic. So, Nick, you're the project manager. What do you think are going to be the main challenges with the work?
I think one of the key things, I mean, it's all in stages and we're going to have to take it part by part. One of the biggest challenges will be the balcony area, because at the moment the ground floor auditorium is usable, the seats are in there, and thanks to all the hard work done by people before, it's that's in a good state. But the balcony is a completely different matter and is not usable at all at the moment, so that's going to be a lot of work. That's something we'll be looking at in terms of the heritage funding later down the line. A lot of issues just come through the size of the building, so as unexciting as it might sound, installing a fire alarm is a big issue because of the height of the building. So things like that, but I think the balcony will be a big issue, and just it's a huge building, but we're excited to get started. And I think the CADS way of doing things is to do things in a very practical way, take them in stages, and in these early stages it'll be about making things usable, making them safe, and then as we get towards the heritage funding, that's when we'll restore it back to a beautiful building. But at the moment it'll be more done in a practical way, because that's the most important thing, is that people can use it.
Fantastic, sounds really exciting. So can I ask you both finally what you're most looking forward to as part of the restoration?
Just seeing it sort of back how it sort of should be. I mean, just even how it is at the moment, it looks amazing, and just getting people in the doors. I've driven past and walked past that building for years and always wanted to look inside and get inside and have something on. So just seeing it sort of full again, hear it full of noise again, full of people, I think would be great. I mean, we've spoken to a couple of sort of older people that went there right back when it was first sort of opened as a cinema, and just they're so excited about it, and they've got so many good memories of it back then. The thought of 1,500 people all sat watching one film is crazy now, but just getting that kind of feeling back again, obviously with a more modern stuff and with a new generation of people, but just putting it back on the map as somewhere where you can go for a day out or an evening out, and it's really impressive. And you round Aberdale Road where there's all this other cool stuff going on as well.
So Nick, what are you most looking forward to?
I think, I guess along those lines, but I suppose also I think, there always comes a stage in these projects where you've got, there's an event running, it's, successful, you can see everyone's having a good time and you're not running around the building trying to sort something out from my past experience of doing things like this. So I think, just really looking forward to seeing it being used, everything up and running and people enjoying the space. I've come from a background of doing events and kind of public engagement work, so just seeing it used for those kind of things would be really exciting.
Yeah, well, that sounds fantastic. Great project. So can you tell us how can people find out more about CADS and the restoration of Aberdale Picture House?
We're currently still looking into sorting out the online presence for it, changing over the Facebook and everything from who was running it beforehand. So at the moment, the best place to get in touch is info@cads-online.org. That's an email address if you have any specific ideas. And there's the CADS website as well, which is
cads-online.org.
Yeah.
In case Nick's forgotten it.
And on our Facebook as well, we're on Facebook. And so at the moment, sort of in terms of seeing what's going on, we'll be posting stuff until we change over all of the kind of stuff for the official Aberdale Picture House page. There's a sort of general page for the building, which is up and running, and we'll try and sort of tag things on there and make sure people know what's going on. But hopefully it should all be, viewable as soon as possible.
And we've got a Twitter as well, which is @cads_chef with 2 Fs.
Great.
So add us on there.
Yeah, it sounds fantastic. Thanks ever so much for coming in.
Okay, great.